side of life. The Todd Starnes Commentary.
President Obama will address the nation tonight, interrupting the semifinals of America's Got Talent. And I predict there will be so much fertilizer spewing out of my plant screen that by the end of his remarks, I'll have a crop of butter beans and okra growing in my living room. The administration's now backing off the red line that President Obama said he did not draw. Our national security no longer appears to be at risk. But give it a day, folks. Our Syrian policy changes by the hour. Yesterday, the Secretary of State told us any attack would be unbelievably small, only to have the president tell us he doesn't do pinpricks. But the Russians may have pulled Obama's fat out of the fire, offering to put Syria's weapons under international control. You know, folks, maybe we ought to take up a collection and send Vladimir Putin a fruit basket. I'm Todd Starnes.
Thank you, Todd Starnes. Crane Durham's Nothing But Truth. We are back right here on AFR Talk, and you can go to the Facebook page, Crane Durham's Nothing But Truth, American Family Radio. You can go to Nothing But Truth. Check that out, nothingbutTruth.com. And now we are joined by our good friend Buzz Jacobs. He is the co-director of Benghazi 9/11, a documentary about the terrorist attack that happened 1 year ago to the day tomorrow. And Buzz, you are speaking at the Justice for Benghazi rally, and it seems to me that that is going to be taking place tomorrow, but there are some permit issues, possibly with the bikers who are set to join you. Big rally. I mean, a lot of people are coming.
That's what I understand, and I look forward to joining several thousand of my good, close, truth-seeking friends who want, like you, Crane, to know the truth about Benghazi, want our country back.
Yeah, it seems to me, and incidentally, if you want information right now about Benghazi 9/11, the documentary, you can go to Benghazi9-11.com. That's Benghazi9-11.com, or you can wait to the top of the hour, and you can go to the Facebook page, and I'll put a link up there during the news break. Buzz, it seems that this is a story that the mainstream media has done everything it can to kill. And evidence of that was most recently seen on Fox News Sunday with the new edition of Howard Kurtz, formerly of CNN, where he says, while there are a lot of questions about Benghazi, it's not a scandal, and then went on to question the motives of those that were questioning. Roll it.
So there are legitimate unanswered questions that remain, but the investigations on the Hill have largely petered out. And I have to say this, there is a drumbeat among conservatives, including some at Fox News, to turn this into a full-fledged scandal, as opposed to a horribly tragic episode that killed 4 Americans, and that was clearly mishandled at the time and afterwards. When 241 Marines were killed in a terrorist bombing in Lebanon in 1983, Ronald Reagan wasn't accused of being involved in a scandal, misjudgment, miscalculation, perhaps. And I do think that some Republicans, I'm not saying all, and obviously we'd all like to know more about this, including CIA involvement, are trying to use this as a weapon against Hillary Clinton.
Remember what was said in the aftermath of this. The whole thing was blamed on a video, which turned out to have nothing to do with it. I mean, there are elements of mendacity in what the administration did and said after this attack, that's what's given rise to the cry of scandal.
That's why I said the aftermath. That was a completely botched response to what was behind it, but you seem to find very impure motives in that, as opposed to perhaps incompetence.
Well, impure motives. You could be both.
Karl Rove chiming in there. Unfortunately, as the mainstream media broadcast this, they did not have Brit Hume interjecting or Karl Rove. They had a one-way mic and a one-view monopoly on the story, and they said what Howard Kurtz just said, and didn't even go so far as to say what Howard Kurtz said, never recognizing the deception. Your thoughts, Buzz?
Well, it's really not. It's hard to just think where to begin with this. You think about, first of all, that they always got to go attacking either Reagan or George W. Bush when they talk about Benghazi. They never can defend the merits of the president's actions. They always want to turn it into attack. And of course, the reason why the liberals love to do that is because they can't usually defend their principles, and in this case, they can't defend their beloved president, Barack Obama. So when you think about the media's actions in the Benghazi story, it's absolutely positively shameful, because the story of Benghazi is in part is a story of a mainstream media being in the tank for Obama. You had the 60 Minutes withholding video of the president saying it was not a terrorist attack. You had CNN's Candy Crawley defend Obama at the debate. You had, who was probably a friend of Howard Kurtz, by the way, from September 11th to Election Day, not one mainstream reporter in the White House press corps put any significant pressure on Obama for answers. And when Hillary Clinton looked down on us from her ivory tower and said, "What difference at this point does it make?" the mainstream media praised her. And those are just a few examples of how the mainstream media has acted so blatantly biased in favor of defending their president and not wanting to pursue the truth. And if the media had done their job last election cycle, I am convinced that it would have made a difference in the election, because Obama would have been on defense instead of being on offense. And here's where we are today. That's part of the true story of Benghazi that needs to be told, that the mainstream media never will, but our film will do.
And that's what you're covering. You never, from the beginning, you said this is not a partisan issue. It's about the truth. And they tried to make it just that, a partisan attack, and obviously write it off that way. Never addressing, as you said, the facts of what took place. Hillary Clinton knew that there were attacks, they were growing in strength, knew about security requests. In fact, and I'm going to pull Audible on my team, but I need cut 11. Cut 11, please. In fact, the man who actually spoke with Hillary Clinton that night of the attack and explained that it was a terrorist attack and it had nothing to do with a video, didn't mention the video, recognized a terrorist attack, was Gregory Hicks. After testifying, he was asked, because of his treatment by George Stephanopoulos, does he feel like he's been punished? Roll it.
Yes, I feel that I have been punished. I don't know why I was punished. I don't know why I was shunted aside, put in a closet, if you will.
Does the State Department know you're speaking out now?
No, they don't know I'm here with you.
Then why talk?
Because the American people need to have the story. And Ambassador Chris Stevens, Sean Smith, Ty Woods, and Glenn Doherty's names are names that should be remembered by every American for the sacrifices that they made.
Buzz, when you hear that and you recognize that part of journalism, I'm a commentator, journalistic elements, but journalists, I mean, that's a whistleblower being punished. That in itself is a huge story. Are you surprised of the relative lack of coverage of Gregory Hicks?
Sadly, of course, no. I'm not surprised at the lack of coverage, but you're right, Crane. It's so sad and so shameful that the mainstream media is giving this absolutely positively no attention. Here we have a guy who did his job. He reported back the truth, and not only that, he tried to make sure that we had our military, our special forces unit that was in Tripoli, get the detachment that was in Tripoli, attached to the embassy, would be sent there to Benghazi to aid them. Of course, we know they were never given the deployment order, i.e., they were told to stand down, and they never went. And you remember what Hicks said, that he said that he was told that for the first time in his career, a diplomat had more cojones than a military guy, than a special forces guy. So it's just amazing, and it's a shame that we cannot get the press to pay attention to this, because the reality is, after 1 year, here we are. You can summarize Benghazi as this: there's no accountability, there are no answers, and there's no justice. No one has been arrested, not one person has been fired. The president's moved on, Hillary Clinton has moved on, the mainstream media has moved on. No one's heard from the survivors. There's many, many questions remain, such as what exactly was the president doing that night? We know he was in bed, but let's have a minute-by-minute account. Why didn't Hillary Clinton pressure the president? If I was the Secretary of State, and I'm sure if you were, and I'm sure probably every one of your listeners were the Secretary of State that night, we would have gotten our black armored SUV and hauled our butts down to the White House and said, and went up to the president's bedroom, knocked on his door, and said, "Mr. President, wake up! We need you down in the White House Situation Room right now. You can make a difference. When you're engaged, it makes people act. You can demand that the military do something. You can call world leaders. You can call on our allies. You can call on our friends in the region. We need to get help to these people." But where was the president? He was apparently sleeping. And that's another thing, as you know, Crane, that the mainstream media didn't even cover. When Leon Panetta, the former Secretary of Defense, testified that the president was disengaged during Benghazi, only 2 of the 3 major networks covered it. So there's just this long line of scandal that needs to be investigated. We need a select committee up in Washington, but yet here we are 1 year later. We don't have a select committee. You just think about it. If I could go on and on and on, I know we have limited amount of time, and I appreciate you giving it to me. But the story of Benghazi is a management failure of the president. It's an intelligence failure. It was a military failure. And when the liberals press members say that there was no cover-up, that this is not a scandal, well, the truth of the matter is it was. And if we ever get access to those 33 survivors, I'll bet you there'll be more than enough evidence to prove it.
And interestingly enough, a lot of people feel powerless when they're hearing this and saying, well, McDonough yesterday, Crane, you went through the chief of staff and he wouldn't answer Chris Wallace. He just came back with the talking points, and we played it, and we don't have the time right now to play it. But bottom line, the only reason this story survives are because of certain networks picking them up, American Family News, among others, as well as Fox News. But the point is, we can influence, because during the hearings for the Syria attack, or the potential for that, Benghazi was brought up because constituents are standing up. And another way that people can stand up, they can go to your website, because that's one of the reasons you're speaking tomorrow at this rally, Justice for Benghazi, the 9/11 rally. And it's important that we get involved. So this is a call to action, is it not?
Absolutely, it's a call to action, because everybody can make a difference. Everybody who's listening, one of the great things still about our country is that the politicians eventually do have to respond to the people. It may not happen in one day, it may not happen in 1 week, but if we keep enough pressure, and if we build up the numbers big enough, and we demand answers through things like what you're doing and talking about this regularly, what some of your colleagues are doing through this rally tomorrow on the mall in front of the Capitol steps, through our movie, if we continue to educate people and let them know about all of the things that happened over the past year, I think that we can make a difference. Not only think, I know we can make a difference, and I know we can put pressure on our leaders in Washington.
Absolutely.
To do the right thing.
Benghazi 9-11.com. Buzz Jacobs, thank you. Look forward to seeing you tomorrow at the rally and on C-SPAN. I'll be watching AFR Talk.